So I apologize for the poorly lit shot. It's the end of the day. It's about 10 o'clock. It's nice to be home instead of in the hospital and relaxing. I also get to enjoy the last day of Overwatch, the beta at least. I'm gonna definitely pick up this game. I'm loving it. A ton of my friends are playing it. We got a good group going. So I just wanted to give you guys an update of what I mentioned earlier. So what's going on is that I gave away my Bell plan about a month ago, and so I met a guy. He wanted to take over my plan, and because I don't want to or can't really afford an $120 plan in my current situation, and I want a cheaper plan to make sure that saving money where I can. I'm not being dumb with money. So I gave away my plan, and I confirmed. I called Bell. I gave them the information they needed, his name, and number, and he'll contact them and give them a password that will allow them to take ownership of my account. I've done this many times when I worked at Future Shop, when I sold for Bell and all that stuff. It's pretty usual stuff. The person doesn't need to be in person in a store or with you at the same time. They just have to call in, inquire about the cell phone number and account, and use the password to access it. So did all that, and then after he confirmed that he called Bell, I called them back to verify whether or not the account has been switched over. They alerted me to the fact that it had been, and that I don't even have access to ask about things because it's no longer under my name and I don't have authorization or a password to use. So obviously you take that to mean that it's verified, the plan has been transferred over, and everything's okay, which it should be, which is how it works. Where is my headphones? Okay, perfect. So that is usual. The usual situation, and I confirmed, and they verified, and they confirmed that he picked up the account, and that I am no longer liable. I was very clear to ask whether or not I was liable about the plan or not, because that's the key thing. I'm trying to remove liability for the plan so I don't have to pay for it monthly and all that good stuff. So the gentleman took it over, and that was fine, and I thought everything was good until today. And I got a bill for about $230. Big bill. Don't understand why. If it was for 1 month, that's fine, my cancellation month or something like that. But even then, no, it wasn't. So what happened was they charged me for the usage up until June's, because you pay beforehand, as well as the usage since April 11th. That's quite shocking because I haven't used this plan since April 3rd, and my plan usually finishes on the 1st. So I called in. They found it weird at customer service that my plan was put back in my name. It was really shocking for me as well because that doesn't make any sense. I switched it over. Apparently, there was a motion to remove the plan from the person I gave the plan to for some reason. I'm not going to mention his name because for security reasons, and because whether or not he took the plan. Sorry, whether or not his name is mentioned doesn't matter. That's irrelevant at this point. So I was referred to their prevention team, which does like fraud prevention and all that stuff, and they told me that there was possible fraud, so they reverted the account back to me, which is really weird and really outrageous. And the reason why is because I released liability to this gentleman. Bell themselves confirmed that he is now liable for the account. So, now that he's liable for the account, I'm no longer liable. I made sure of that. I verified. I did my due diligence. I have done this in the past before for customers, and it's done many times, so it's not shocking. And once that happened, they reverted it back to me, and this is what I'm outraged about. It's one thing to put the liability back to me, but to not notify me of such in any way, shape, or form is the outrageous part. If you're gonna put liability back to a person, you need to tell them of such. How am I supposed to know that I have a plan available to me as well as usage available to me in addition to that, that I'm liable for it and to pay for it? That's quite outrageous to me. It's fine if they're trying to prevent fraud, that's their job, that's fine. Um, but the thing is, to not tell me about it is a major issue. I don't understand why I'm now liable for an account without being mentioned to me, and a bill just being given to me and saying, "Hey, you have to pay $230." That doesn't make any sense because I shouldn't be liable. No one told me I was liable, and I had to call in myself to find out that I am still liable for this account. I'm still under contract, and that something happened that put the account back in my status. The gentleman I spoke to on the phone with Bell at the prevention team told me, "Oh, well, you signed a contract." Yes, I signed the contract, but the reason why I was doing a transfer of ownership was to relieve myself of the contract. And I verified with him and Bell that I'm no longer liable for that account. So, of course, I'm not going to expect to pay anything because that contract should have been lifted from me. If it was being binded back to me, I believe that Bell should make it clear to myself or any account holder that they're being put back into liability. So I sure as hell am not paying that $230 bill because it is not my fault that I was not alerted to the fact. He, after some time, and actually he was decently rude over the phone. I have his name. I have his what's it called? The interaction ID. I'm very used to this, so I did write that down, and I had, of course, they have the whole recording and all that stuff. He was quite rude, saying that if I can't answer his questions, he can't answer mine. He was asking about where's my device as well as where's my SIM card. The thing is, once I gave away the plan, I threw out the SIM card, and if I thought that the plan was no longer under my name and I wasn't liable, what's the phone get to me? So I can do whatever I want with the phone. Anyways, you can do anything you want with a phone when you have it under plan anyways. So I was telling him that was irrelevant, and it is because what's the issue at hand is the switch of liability without notifying me, and that I have to pay for this plan that I wasn't even made aware of. So it was quite rude, and he was being decently rude, but obviously I have dealt with this before. I know what it's like to be on the receiving end, so obviously I'm not angry at him, and I mentioned to him that I'm not angry at him. I'm just disappointed in the tools that are available to him, and that nothing is being done on his end. So the best that we got out of it is that I'm being pushed to a supervisor, and I'm not making any fuss about it now. I just want to document this and talk about it, as I think it's outrageous and definitely something that needs to be changed on Bell's part in how they handle the protocol the protocol of this situation of transfer of ownership and potential return of ownership, whatever you want to call it. I just found it outrageous. I was quite heated, but I'm usually pretty calm. I don't swear or anything, but it's just still outrageous to me. So now I have to wait 24 to 48 hours for this supervisor or manager to call me back, and we'll see what goes on from there. I don't plan on doing a Twitter blast yet because I don't like to revert to those things. I find it weird how shooting a message on Twitter is now the norm for getting things done or escalated quickly as it's in the public eye. The goal should be focusing on the customer at hand and resolving the problem as soon as possible. That's what customer service is there for. And the prevention team wasn't able to help me in any way, shape, or form except just give me very minimal information. What he was saying was it's not Bell's responsibility to release information about the person in question and Bell. The thing is, when someone is being impacted by that switch, I believe they are responsible for alerting me as such. That's really stupid that because it's a fraud against this person or like an investigation against this person and Bell, that someone who will be impacted by their investigation is not notified about it. That's ridiculous because this does impact me very greatly. And I would like to have known that. And if I had known that in April 11th when they apparently did it, which is a month later now, just about, then I would have dealt with it much quicker and made sure everything was arranged. Either I would have transferred it to someone else, or I wouldn't have gotten a new plan to replace it. Obviously, I do need a cell phone, but I just can't pay $120 because of my current situation. And I don't want to mention it specifically right here because I don't want to play that card. I'm trying to focus on the situation at hand, the issue at hand, and the not my circumstance. I do not like to play my circumstance as an extra point that is not 100% relevant. It is relevant, but not relevant to the case at hand, so I'd like to not mention it yet. If I need to, then I will, but I still believe that it's not necessary. So I hope something comes of the conversation that's happening within a day and a half. But at this point, I am quite livid about the situation. I'm trying to be as calm as possible. I'm just playing games to take the load off, and I'm just trying to enjoy my time back at home and not in the hospital for another week. Imagine if I was in the hospital, I found out about this news, and I have to deal with this while I'm in the hospital. I am grateful that I'm not in the hospital right now, and I have my break. And also a great break is a great thing in general. So, lucky and unlucky, I don't know how you want to take it. But thanks again for tuning in, and thank you for listening to my little rant, as well as tuning into every daily video that we have here. I always appreciate it, and don't blast Bell right now, please. Let's wait until some resolution is worked out. If there is no resolution, then I will have to take to Twitter to try to escalate this situation further, because I feel I've been done injustice here, and I do not have $230 just laying around to give to Bell for something I didn't use and could not have used even if I wanted to. So again, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow. This video will be cut, and I will put this separately, but yeah, see you tomorrow.